Movember, day 16, and for this video I'm going to focus on tools for objectification, and this is from a form that Patrick Carnes put together, and for people in sex and love and avoidance addiction recovery, it can be really disorientating in early recovery to find out that now that I've stopped maybe looking at adult erotica or pornography, looking at not porn, things that create lust as a way of escaping or distress tolerating, that you find that in everyday life, things that meet your arousal template, walking down the street, going to a shopping center, posters outside of shops, can be really disorientating. And how do you combat that? How do you look after it? Also, if you've got a betrayed partner, they will be very sensitive to any second looking that we will do in public when we can't seem to take our eyes off something. So these are tools for objectification that you'll find on this form. Now, you don't need to sort of squint your eyes on that. I'm going to go through them one at a time, and I will sort of read off that form which I've got here. So, eye bouncing. This is a good technique when you're in a very populated place. So if you're on the way to work in peak hour and you find, gosh, my arousal template is power-dressed women or power-dressing men, and they're everywhere. So how do you not fixate on one thing? And one of the ways is to walk, and you can either look at the ground or eye bounce, meaning that addicts sometimes, if we're not paying attention, will drill in and sort of get a bit of a hyper focus, and we go into a bit of a trance. So eye bouncing just allows us to sort of take that observation off autopilot and put it onto manual, where we start to direct our vision as we go forward, even looking down or looking up, just to not get us fixated. The other one that gets, commonly misunderstood is the 3-second rule. Now, the 3-second rule isn't where we look at something for 3 seconds, but it's noticing that from the very first second, it's stop, look away, and pray. And if you're not a praying person, you might have an affirmation. A lot of the time when you are trying to correct this behavior, it's also trying to correct this disorientation that has happened for men and women. We have sexualized culture. I used to be stunned that I would go to get these glasses from OPSM, come out with really good vision, and right across the road from OPSM at Macquarie Mall is Honey Bridette, and they've got 15-foot high, massive, illuminated posters of women in lingerie. And that my sons are meant to look at that and look at their eyes and look at their face and not sexualize. And they're 11, 9, and 6, and they're not really paying attention to it yet, but they're gonna pay attention to it soon. And the fact that we can just have that in plain sight, all signed off on it. Obviously the body corporate there is all signed off on that. That's okay, and okay advertisement. And so how do we, if you're in sexual addiction recovery, not get caught past that first look? Now, I used to say that the first look's on God, but that doesn't mean that if I see something out of my peripheral, that I can I look at it and then can blame God. If I know that there's probably someone over there in a bikini, I don't need to look at that person in the bikini to know I shouldn't look at a person in a bikini. So sometimes we can stop before we take the first look. But if the first look's a surprise, so be it. And then we can activate this again, taking what used to be on autopilot off and putting it on manual. That we stop, look away and pray, or stop, look away and affirm, depending on what you believe around your spirituality, and link into this is not who I want to be as a human being anymore, sexualizing people, making them feel uncomfortable when they walk past me. Humanizing. Now, what Patrick's got written down about humanizing is that this is someone's wife, this is someone's husband, this is someone's daughter, this is someone's niece or nephew, that we really sort of drill down into. Now, as long as that's not a paraphilia and that you are has got you off in the past, your arousal templates around that, humanizing can be something that breaks the trance of sexualization or sexualizing strangers, that this is a human being. They have the right to walk the earth and not have me sexualize them and ogle them for my satisfaction, that I can notice them And I think where we head in healthy sexuality recovery is we're not heading to necessarily a celibate life. We're heading to healthy sexuality, so we can notice beauty without it disorientating, without taking second looks. That we can observe it for what it is, appreciate it for what it is, and walk past. One of the ways we can do that is by humanizing that person and putting them into a family story. That we would also not like anyone to be doing that to our daughter, our mother, our wife, or husband or son. Fantasy or image contamination. This is a play with of a sort of a CBT tool, but it's Patrick writes here, pairing the image with a displeasing image. Again, taking it off autopilot, putting it on manual, or play the tape forward. How will this play out? If I follow this person, objectify this person, will it want me to act out later on in real time or online? And that would definitely be that insanity of repeating the same mistake and expecting a different result all over again, potentially leading to relapse because it's got the impaired thinking's already happening. We're now got this obsession and euphoric recall happening. We're in dangerous ground. So where we can, fantasy or image contaminate that nude or provocative content now is a road to danger for us, a road to losing our families, losing our integrity, losing our recovery, and not just salacious material that's there for our titillation. The next one's walk away. I remember a fella saying in group once, he says, I'm not looking at the ground for anyone. And I thought, well, good luck. If your brain has gone from a cucumber to a pickle, that it's moved to the fact that through thousands of hours of objectifying, looking at pornography, acting out sexually, that you've corrupted the way that your reward, euphoric recall, and motivational circuitry works, and you're not willing to accept that you might need to have some limits, good luck. Good luck. I couldn't do it, and people I work with can't do it. So learning, Kenny Rogers, for you guys that remember the old song, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. We need to know our limits. We need to know when it's time to go, when it's not right for us. And this can be spiritually around even watching a TV show and saying to our partner, look, this is too salacious for me, it's too triggering. Or checking in with them, is this too triggering for you? Be willing to turn it off. Say, I can't watch this series with you. Or can we move to another seat or another table at a restaurant? Or can we move our towels at the beach? Just be willing to be ego deflation at depth and make a change that's going to take care of your recovery and respect your partner. Learning distraction techniques, and these can be odd ones. They can be, I know for people that know me, I have all my little ADHD balls that keep me. I just ordered some more that keep you from the distracting. Patrick's got here singing a song lyrics in our head, using stress balls. For guys at home that feel like masturbating or they get triggered, I tell them, have a cold shower. Go and stand under a cold shower and practice some diaphragmatic breathing. Do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, do some burpees. Do something that literally changes how the stress and tension in your body is accumulating. Take a risk. Do your best to do that for yourself, right? So go for a walk, go for a run. Guys that sometimes are stuck at home and they think there's no one at home, I've got unstructured time, put your walking shoes on, or your runners, go for a jog. So, you're probably less likely to be masturbating out there in public unless that's a triggering situation for you. So get moving, and it's okay to distract yourself past that moment. Choose seating wisely. We spoke about this in group tonight. I just finished men's group online and in this room this evening. And so, it's very customary for men, even at a primal level, to sit where they can see at a restaurant where they can see everything. But for sex addicts, that's an ogling, an objectifying opportunity. And it can be very uncomfortable for us to really accept that we can't sit there because we're so easily distracted. It's triggering for our partner. We can say we're just people watching, but if one of those people is an attractive woman that triggers our partner into a PTSD reaction, then it is worth picking a safe enough restaurant in a safe enough neighborhood and then taking that seat that faces our partner and faces the wall and let that happen behind us so they know they're getting our full attention. It's also a great way to help to live a living amends with our partner. Engage in a personal connection. Now, again, this has to make sure our arousal template isn't locked into intrigue and trying to use this as an addictive way. But sometimes what happens is addicts are fantasy based. So we go into fantasy about someone. So if we engage in a personal connection, I had a fellow once tell me he was at a work do, and it was like a training, and the person that was giving the training really met his arousal template, and intrigue wasn't something for him that was a problem. So I said, well, in the break, go up and ask them about how they got into this work, and be with a colleague, and make it personal. Engage, get into find out this is someone's wife, that they have got kids, that they've got a mother or father that they take care of. Make a legitimate personal connection. Again, this tool's not for everyone, so don't corrupt it as you hear, oh, Steve said on his video, I can make personal connections. No, I didn't. Make sure it doesn't get into any conflict with your bottom lines, any of these tools. Avoidance techniques, they're a momentary intervention. They're very much like distraction techniques. But if you need to step away and avoid intimacy, sort of the opposite of number 9, avoid intimacy, pull away, do it. Just get through the situation. I think with addiction, it will pass if we can just disrupt the moment, not go into that cycle of addiction, that trance, distort reality. The avoidance technique might be I go outside and make an outreach call to someone in my 12-step recovery. Avoiding people, places, or things. I think early on, a great way that for tools for stopping objectification is that in our first step and in our 3-circle plan, we are really clear on certain people or certain places. If you go to a sporting event and a cheerleading squad is a trigger for you, don't sit in the middle of the field. Don't sit where they sit. Go to the end of the field. Put yourself away from that. Places. I knew a guy that just stopped going to Bondi Beach for a year, that didn't go to Bondi Junction Shopping Centre because it was too triggering. And certain things, guys that surrender their smartphones and get a dumb phone for a while, and they surrender certain gyms that'd be more under places, but they'll make choices that are safe for their recovery based on their own first step. So be willing to be ego surrendered here and put on the list. And some of these things will come back and some don't, because they're just simply too, like I haven't been to a strip club for any sort of bucks party or anything like that. I just don't participate in it. I don't play music anymore in places that have have those topless bars and things like that. All that is, they're places and things that I just don't engage with anymore. Acknowledge and talk about fantasy. I think this is a big one. A lot of guys will talk about if they nearly acted out and they're in a ritual, but the guys that really stay clean and sober long term are willing, then they acknowledge and shout out when they go into a euphoric recall or a fantasy moment, because we're quite powerless over that. I was saying, one example I used to give is if the barista was nice to you in this new cafe, is a new barista, addicts will go back there every day. Anyone that'll validate us or give us a warm feeling. So shout that fantasy out to someone and be willing to then put a boundary in and maybe probably go to another cafe, because it's going to protect you. It's going to be, I might do another video this time around, the anatomy of a relapse, but it will really cut addiction off in its tracks if we can acknowledge it at this level. Driving a different route. I've seen guys that work by the beaches and in summer, people are all jogging in their activewear and they just drive one street in. It takes a little longer, but it's ego deflation at depth. It's just acknowledging that there's certain ways or certain routes through things that might be more triggering for me. It might be a place I used to act out or a sex on premises. So just, again, being willing to take the hit, might take you 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes longer, drive a different route, be willing to ego deflate at depth and choose good orderly direction, God's will versus your own. Holding ice in your hands. I know these are techniques like the cold shower, but at least more portable. If you're really struggling to break the trance of an impaired thought or a fantasy moment, go and put a piece of ice in your hand and just walk around with that for a couple of minutes and just somatically get grounded into your body and distract yourself. It would be seen as one of those distraction techniques. A journal. but about your recovery, not the fantasy. Don't spend 2-3 pages writing about, oh, that barista and this or that validated me and she really meets my arousal template. But you know, today I was triggered and I felt my powerlessness. I could felt the unmanageability of me wanting to keep a secret and go there again. And so I read the first step when I got home. I said the serenity prayer each time that person comes up. I shouted it out to my sponsor. I mentioned it at a meeting. You know, write about, what am I doing in my recovery about this, and not about the fantasy. Rubber band, snap out of it. It's an old-fashioned tool, but they're all worth, you know, I think you can never dismiss something just because it's been around for a while. If this sort of thing works for you and you're riding along, you're objectifying, if you're not into self-harm or aroused by BDSM, you might grab that thing and snap and say, yeah, stop it. This is not who we want to be anymore. We're committed to recovery. So the old rubber band is an old-fashioned tool, but you can't dismiss them. They work. Mindfulness, you know, another thing, sometimes when we go into fantasy, we go up into our head, we get aroused, or down into our groin. Mindfulness, diaphragmic breathing, focus on the breath, tune into the body, maybe a body scan of tensing and relaxing muscles, calm and tune into what's going on. Notice your feelings, you know, but sort of mindfully bring yourself into being present in the moment. And from there, you can usually get a platform to use one of these other tools. Last one here is read a letter to yourself. Now, I was looking for mine. I had it on an old computer. I reset, and I wished I had it for this. But I put a picture of my 3 boys. It's certainly a letter to yourself as a tool is just saying that if you're reading this, you know, this is sort of from that recovery self that wants to remind you that what you're contemplating right now, what you're considering doing is dangerous, and we swore that we never want to do that again. We abandon ourselves, we hurt our family. Here's all the things that we could risk. You know, once upon a time you'd carry these letters around in your wallet, but this day and age you largely would have them on your phone or on your desktop. I used to have mine on my desktop, and it just reminds us of what's really important in our recovery, and helps us to recommit to that instead of objectifying and drinking in and activating the beginning, or if you're a voyeur, your entire sex addiction. So that's just another tool for recovery. I have done these in other Movembers, but I wanted to revisit that because it's been fresh and put it up the top of the pile on my Movember page. Here's the QR link that you could just get your phone and it'll take you to my Mo space. Or if you've got someone else that's in Movember or Mo sister at the moment, please donate to them. And this is just the Steve Stokes Counselling Consulting.com. That's where you're going to find access to these videos. And this, I just want to keep shouting it out. This Saturday, I've got Robert Weiss. He's world-renowned author of Things Sex Addiction 101, Cruise Control, Out of the Doghouse, Pro-Dependence, and Pro-Dependence for Clinicians. So he's talking on Saturday. Look at the website. Booking is free. I'm only asking for a Movember donation. Robert's done these before for me, and it's an incredible time to get one of the world's experts in a very small group situation to ask any questions that you might have. With that, I bid you adieu, and I will see you again tomorrow.